And I'm going to read my little blurb of good afternoon. It's 1:30, and I'd like to open the COA monthly board meeting today, April 12th, 2021. And the town of Littleton began conducting remote participation Zoom meetings pursuant to Governor Baker's emergency order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 19th, 2020. Since that time, unanticipated legal concerns relating to the open meeting law have been brought to our attention by the town clerk. And those concerns were supported by the Attorney General's office and confirmed by town council. One concern is that the chat function allows a parallel text conversation to a board's public meeting. Chat is essentially running commentary that is occurring, but it is not moderated or followed by the chair. All participants and listeners may not be aware of comments being made because some meeting participants join by phone and do not see these conversations. Another concern is conversations between residents within the chat room, which are not incorporated into the public record. So in response to these concerns, the town will implement the following changes, which in no way prohibit any member of the public from participating in discussion and sharing information during a public meeting, and will ensure that all listeners and participants have equal access to the meeting. People that join the Zoom meeting are set so their microphones are muted. If you've called in by phone, please use *6 to mute or unmute your phone. So that the meeting can occur in an orderly fashion, we ask that people who join keep their microphones on mute so background noises do not interfere with the meeting. If you wish to participate in the meeting, please use the raise your hand function available on Zoom, or if you called in by phone, dial *9, which will activate the raise your hand function. The meeting host will notify the chairperson of the raised hands, and the chairperson will determine whether and when to allow public comment. When called upon, participants should unmute, then state their name and address. After speaking, we request the participant return their microphone back to mute. So thank you and welcome, everybody. It's good to see everybody. And I see a few people that have arrived since I started reading that lovely announcement. So, all right, we have a quorum present, and so we are set to go. I just need to remind you that this is an open meeting and we need to stick to those open meeting laws, which we have been pretty good about doing. So, do we have any announcements from any of the board members? And I was thinking, Ashley, maybe you could make this talk about the month that this is as an announcement for people that are, on board with us now, and we can talk about it in depth a little bit later on in the meeting. Is that something you could do for us?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. So May is the celebration of National Older Americans Month, and the Administration for Community Living leads our nation's observance of Older Americans Month every year in May, and each year has a different theme, and this year's theme is Communities of Strength, which really speaks to this past year where residents have come together and proven the power of community and going through all that we've went through. And special thanks to the older adults for their resilience and continued resilience throughout this past year. So it's a month to honor older adults, and this evening during the select board meeting, it will be formally, publicly recognized.
Thank you. That's really interesting. And, I think we tend to forget about that, but I vaguely recall that happening way long ago. So it's a great thing, I think, that you've done decided to highlight that for us. So thank you. Any other announcements? Board members?
I would like to announce the grab and go on Wednesday.
Okay,
It's going to be windowsill dolls and there are still openings. The kits we've put together are really cute and the more the merrier to join. So there is still time to sign up for Wednesday's grab and go, which will be at 1 o'clock out in front of the library.
yes, Maureen.
Anita, did you say windowsill dolls?
I did.
Okay,
And
There's
anybody's, yes, there's a picture of them in the broadcaster. And they are the cutest cotton picking things, I think. So I encourage people to really take advantage of this particular month's grab and go. I interrupted you, Anita, sorry.
No, you said it all. It's a great grab and go. It's a lot of fun. You can really create your own little doll made out of flower pots and
Oh, look,
ribbon and lace and hair and a straw hat to put on top. So please come and join.
Here she is. Here she is.
is there a cost?
It's $3.
Thank you.
Susan has her, say something again, Susan.
Here she is. Here she is.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't she worth everybody coming to make one?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
she is very cute. So.
That's it.
Additional, okay, thank you. Additional announcements. Anyone? Speak up if I don't see your hand because I'm having some difficulties with my view, choice of view here, so. Okay, I'll try a different screen. All right, having none. Do we have any public input at this particular time? We tend to allow it later on also, so is there anyone that wishes to say something now? Nope, okay. Great. So let's move along quickly to the minutes of the March 8th, 2021 meeting. And I know I have found a few things that I think we could, there's spelling changes or where someplace it says, let's see, under 6 old business, didn't want to sacrifice any parking spaces. I think it was parking.
Parking?
Yes. And down a little bit further, when Mark is down under, let's see, 6, down towards the bottom where it says Mark Rambucker, M. Rambucker, what can COA do to assist in getting through this process? Anthony responded to that by saying the LLB, they were anticipating LLB being at the March 22nd select board meeting. And after that happened, they were planning on setting up a support group to help Ashley and Jamie. And the COA would be involved in that. And that is one way that we could participate and help in getting through the process. So maybe you could add that. I can talk to you about it later on, Maureen, if you'd like to.
Thank you.
Did anyone else see any other corrections? Having said all that, I will say, if you go on to the second page, and it's toward the top, it says under A, update from COA EHS Vision Subcommittee. And you had no new data. I think the only, and below that it says Mark Rambucker meeting on March 22nd. And I don't quite, under Housing Subcommittee. I think that needs to be deleted. That had Mark's comment on the 22nd, that whole issue had nothing to do with the update on the Housing Subcommittee.
We'll talk.
Okay. Great. So, having
Under
said all the,
Under 6A, can we, where it says Indian Hill property presented, can we get rid of the of code violations? And just say changes that would be needed? Because I don't know, we really they didn't really talk about what the code violations are, and we don't need to air any laundry.
right, that's a good,
Okay, Mark, so you said under 6A,
The first sentence says Indian Hill property presented number, and can we just cross off of code violations and just leave it changes that would just make it Indian Hill property presented number of changes that would need to be made.
correct.
number of changes need to be made. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. That's a very good point. Other corrections or changes? If not, I'll entertain a motion. Also sign the minutes, Maureen. They didn't get signed at the bottom. I just want to get that on the record too. Either that or, I don't know, I lost it on my copy.
I would make a motion to accept the minutes of our March 6th meeting,
8th.
March 8th meeting with the corrections that have been spoken.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Roll call vote time. Mark, we'll start with you.
Yes.
Thank you. David,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Ann Lee,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes,
Susan? You're muted, Susan.
Abstain, I wasn't there.
Okay.
You can still
And,
vote on those, by the way.
Okay.
pardon me, Mark?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, she's a yes.
I
Thank
said,
you.
Oh, so now she's a yes?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
And I did not see Wendy. Is Wendy here?
I don't see her.
No, okay, then, and Marge is a yes. Thank you. All right. Okay, we're moving right along here. Thank you. So, do we have, I think I saw that Nancy Levine was with us. Am I correct? Is Nancy here to do the Friends
Yes.
report? Yes, okay. I didn't know if you were there still. Thank you. Can you update us a little bit about the Friends?
Sure. I don't have much to say, except that as you know, the funding letter went out. We are receiving donations from residents, a good portion so far. I don't have the numbers yet, but very few from businesses, very few. That's a big surprise. And don't know why, but it's still early. They didn't go out until last month. So it's a wait and see. And there is one thing I want to mention about your last month's meeting. I said something that bothered one of your members, and I'd like to clarify it a bit. I spoke about elder and human services, and I used a metaphor that was given to us a long time ago by Emmett Marzal, who was at that time chair of the all council on agings. And he mentioned once in a joke, you know, once you become an elder, you're no longer human. And once you're human and you turn 60, you're no longer, once you're human, turn 60, you're an elder. And it was just a metaphor, was just meant as a joke to lighten things up at times. And that's me. So I apologize if I bothered one of you. So I'll try to be more careful in the future. The flowers are still going very well. And we still need cups or some sort of small containers to put them in. So if you can clean out your closets or your neighbor's closet. And, but we had some contributions of very big vases, and that we cannot use. So keep it in mind. And if you are able to get some, please contact me, Nancy, you know where I am, or Barbara McRae, and we'll make sure it's distributed correctly. And we are going to be working on a future luncheon with Ashley. But right now, the Light and Water Department is doing theirs tomorrow. And as of today, this morning, they had 192 sign up.
Woo.
So picking it up is going to be an adventure. That's for sure.
Well, they also include Boxborough, don't they, Nancy?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So that's all that I have. I don't know if you have any questions for me that I may or may not answer. Nope.
Any questions for Nancy or for the friends that she could take back to the rest of the board and group? Oh, we're easy today, Nancy.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, though. Thanks for that update. We appreciate it.
Is Anthony going to be here today?
I am thinking he is. I don't know. I think Matthew is with us. Maybe Matthew knows if he is or not. Maybe Matthew's not there. Oh, there's Matthew.
Hello.
Hi there.
I'm not a panelist, so I can't unmute myself. Mr. Ansaldi said in an email that he was going to attend, but I don't know if he's here or not.
Okay. I do not see him. I don't know. Ashley, are you, or who's doing this today? Jamie, Nicole or Ashley? Who's monitoring for me?
I've been checking.
Okay.
I don't see him.
Okay. Then I think what we will do is move on to old business. And we thought he was going to be present. I do know that tonight on the select board agenda is an update. I will mention that. There is an update scheduled on the senior center. Matthew might be able to speak more about that. And Mark, maybe you would like to speak about what's happening with the Vision Subcommittee.
So the Vision Subcommittee met last week, I think. I can't keep dates straight anymore. And we talked with Anthony and we talked with Joe and Matthew about the plan and trying to figure out how we can help move the senior center forward. There's going to be, I think, and there's going to be one warrant article. I think they're combining the feasibility and the design money into a single warrant article that they're presenting at town meeting. And I'm trying to help get the process rolling so that we're not waiting until after town meeting before we start doing any more work on the senior center project. So we're still not sure what the role of the visioning committee will be until kind of after the selectmen kind of have to get their ducks in a row on how they want to proceed so that we can help them. So we're waiting for that. Hopefully we'll find out more at the meeting tonight. Is that a good summary?
Sounds perfect to me. I think that's about where we're at. I think Anthony did allude to the fact that LLB will be doing a final presentation at some point, and that has to happen, but I think before anything else can happen at this point. That was my understanding.
I don't know if it's a final presentation or they have to kind of get the final bills in. They need to know how much money LLB has spent so they know how much money is left on some of the things. But I think there will be a wrap-up presentation too, but I'm not entirely positive on that.
So we're kind of just waiting at the moment. I
Yes.
think that's a fair statement. You know, it's not that we're not paying attention.
So Marge, sorry to
Yes.
interrupt. It looks like Anthony is joining in now.
Oh, that's great. He has perfect timing. I'm amazed. That's great, Anthony. You just
Thank you.
got,
Yeah, I was in the waiting room. I wasn't recognized. I don't
really?
I don't take it personally, though. That's okay.
Where's the tie?
I have it. It's in my drawer, Mark. It's in my drawer.
Well, that's great. We were talking about the senior center and the update. So we were just, Mark was sharing a little bit of the discussion that he had last week with the visioning subcommittee with Matthew and Joe present, and so jump right in. We thought you were coming and we were kind of waiting and you just timed it perfectly.
Yeah, so I heard what Mark said, and he's 100% correct. So, so I know it feels like not much has been done since the last time that I provided an update, but the fact of the matter is we know the steps that we need to take. We need to do a study, and they call it a feasibility study, and it's the reason why it's feasibility to see if it could actually be built at the location that we want it to be. I know some people are not crazy about the word feasibility, and we can come up with another word for it. But anyways, that's step one. So once you go through with that gives you the dollar amount on what they expect a senior center will be. And then we get into design. So what we have is a warrant article that's two parts that we'll be addressing at town meeting on June 12th. The first part of that warrant article is that we're going to be asking the residents to allow us to borrow up to $1 million for the design of the senior center. That's step one. Step two, or part one. Part two is the transfer and close out some old capital accounts to free up $80,000 so we can do that study, the step one study. So right now we're in a state of kind of a holding pattern right now because we're waiting for LLB's final deliverables, and the money that we were using to pay from LLB came from an old space needs article that we had to look at this. So and over the course of the last 2 years or so, that's when been used to have LLB on board. So I'm not sure how much we have left because we have some pending bills that LLB has to provide us. So that we told them to wrap up their final report to us and or the final deliverables and get that off so we know how much is left. Because if we have something left, then we could start a little bit on that study a little bit earlier. But really, we need the authorization of town meeting to say, yes, you have the authorization to spend the funds, or here are the funds, and to spend the funds to do the study and then ultimately doing the design. So right now that's where we are in a kind of a wait pattern to see what LLB provides. So this is the update that I'll be providing the select board with tonight, the same type of information that you're hearing. And I'm hoping that we have some funds that were left that will maybe allow us to start a little bit in advance of town meeting with some of the stuff. But, if not, the worst case scenario is we'd have to wait for town meeting. But the good thing is we're asking for those, even the borrowing now. We're normally, like the library, they didn't do that. They waited, they got their feasibility study money, and then they came back and asked for design money. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, nod your head if I'm on the right track. Yeah, thank you. And then they ultimately asked for construction money. So we're actually doing steps one and step two at this town meeting. So once we're done with the feasibility study, we can go right in to the design because town meeting is authorized it. That's the purpose of that, is to speed up the whole thing. So that's where we stand. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have with that. I know that we've had some discussions as far as a working group and what that might look like. And really the first part of the feasibility study would be to work with Ashley and and the COA board to really determine, to make sure that the space that we're looking for gets incorporated into the new building. Of course, within the parameters that we set forth, as far as 15,000 square feet that we have, that we were looking at to stay within a budget that we think the whole thing will probably be about $10 million. So, so yeah, I think the working group will work with Ashley to get the first part of that done, and then I think the working group would change. So it will be, when we get into the design, it might be more of PMBC that's involved, and our building commissioner who may be involved. So it would be a changing working group is what I would envision, and what I think we talked at a prior select board meeting about. So we'll certainly gear up as closer to town meeting.
Great.
Questions?
Questions for Anthony? Anyone?
Excuse me, Marge.
Yes.
Why would we want to borrow the $1 million for design and not use part of the 3 million set aside? I'm sure there's a really good answer. That's all.
Yeah, so I wish Cheryl was with us on that. Either way, you would need authorization to either borrow or to use that. In one way or another, the project's gonna cost what we're estimating, say, to be around $10 million. So either way, really, we certainly, I guess, could have looked at taking the money out of the senior center stabilization funds. Either way would have required a 2/3 vote. So we decided to just go with the borrowing, and then the $3 million will just reduce off the overall cost of the borrowing that we have. So instead of $10 million, we're maybe somewhere 8 or 7, 7 or 6, or to be determined once we know what the dollar amount for the entire project is.
So I'll take a stab at a slightly different answer is, having done something similar with the library where we had money available that we fundraised and were ready to contribute. By not spending your $3 million, you can kind of get a better feel for how the town is supporting the project. Because if you're taking your $3 million that you're not borrowing, the town will support it, but you don't know that they support the $10 million project at the end, right? Because you're basically taking money that you have already set aside for the project. By borrowing the money, you're getting the town to buy in more of a commitment, and you'll have a better feel that the town's behind the project than taking money that you already had allocated from one bucket and just moving it.
That makes sense.
So I think the borrowing's the right way to go for that sentiment.
Well, it also kind of helps. I mean, we're talking about time anyway, so that if we're borrowing now, down the road, I mean, it's going to take a couple of years anyway, I would imagine, for this all to come to fruition at least. So there may be something to do with that, I would guess. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah,
The other-
you're right. You're right. It would take year and a half from
Yeah.
town meeting before construction starts. That's just how long it takes. Once they have to start the design. Design itself takes months to do.
okay, do we have other questions while we have Anthony with us? All right, are there any questions from any people from the public at all? Nicole, no? Okay. Gee, you're off the hook, Anthony.
Oh, that's great. Just keep in mind too, that article, because it's a borrowing article, it would need 2/3 vote at town meeting.
Right,
And this is all, this project as proposed by the selectmen would all be funded select board would all be funded under the levy, which means no increased tax to pay for it, other than your normal year-to-year increase that you get 2.5%.
Yes, Maureen, I see you've got your hand up.
I do. I have a question for Anthony. How is the levy determined? When you say it's under the levy, how do we determine what the levy is?
Okay, so that's the municipal finance question. So the levy limit is the amount that's authorized to spend. It's based on a formula of values. I know I'm not going to explain this right. You set the levy limit. So the town sets the levy as far as what we're willing to spend. And there's a ceiling. The next meeting I'll have Cheryl come and she'll give you an overview of municipal finance. Because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
We all need a course from the finance committee, I think, to help
Exactly.
understand this. Yes.
Exactly.
I think
If
the
somebody
rule is-
says to me, well, how do you determine the levy? I'm like, I don't know.
It's last year's levy plus 2.5%
That's correct.
plus new growth, basically. So
Again, Mark?
it's whatever we spent last year, plus 2.5%. That's your 2.5% gain, plus whatever extra taxes you get from new growth.
Right.
Wow.
And that
That's the
2.5%
cap.
restriction is based on the Prop 2.5 that was, geez, what was that, in the 80s?
Yeah,
So-
way back in the 80s, right?
Yeah. So that just says that we can only raise your taxes, as Mark indicated, 2.5% per year maximum. And anything above that would require a vote of the town to increase your taxes above 2.5%. And if that's done for operating budget purposes, that's called an override. When it's done for borrowing purposes, as far as like, I believe the last project, maybe the high school was that, Mark? I don't know. Somebody knows that was a
No.
debt exclusion.
The middle school was a debt
Middle
exclusion.
school? So that was a debt exclusion. So basically, the town voted to raise the taxes above property 2.5% for that project. Once that project is finished and paid for, then that goes away. It's not a permanent increase in your taxes. It's just an increase for the life of that project or that borrowing.
But if you do an override, it increases the levy limit forever after that.
That's correct. An operating override increases the levy limit in perpetuity.
That's the main difference from the point of view of the taxpayer between an override and a debt exclusion.
That's right. That's right.
Ah,
Right. So this project is within the taxes that you currently pay.
Okay, thank you. I think.
you think?
I think.
Well, we all need a course in all of this, I think, to, really have a good understanding of it all. So thank you, Mark, I'm glad that you're with us and able to help us with all of this too. He's got a lot of experience, I guess, with that library.
He does. He does.
So do we have
I
other
can see you biting your
questions?
tongue there, Anthony.
No, Mark, never.
Did I see another hand go up? Do we have any additional questions for Anthony? No? Wow. Gee, I thought he was off the hook earlier. Maybe you're really off the hook now.
Wow.
I know, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, then. If there are no further questions, last call, last chance for today. Then we will move on.
Thank you, Anthony.
Oh, thanks, David. Good seeing you and everybody else. Always a pleasure. We will come back in May and give you another update where we stand. As far as the progress that we made with LLB, and maybe there's some money to start this project a little bit earlier. That's what we're hoping for, but once we know, we'll come back and report and start moving the project along. But certainly, we're gonna need to see all people at town meeting to vote on this and all the other warrant articles that, I think the last count is, I think we're up to 39 different articles, so.
I'm guessing it's outside this year again.
Yes, June 12th, it'll be at, Alumni at 9 o'clock, starting at 9 o'clock time.
Okay.
So that's maybe something that we need to help get the word out and the importance of this, I think, to seniors and to the town, you know, and the fact that by constructing a building on town property where you don't, it's a little bit more palatable because you're not purchasing property too.
Correct.
So I think we need to try to maybe get some of the strong points out there, maybe. If we can do that, that might help. We hope that people will finally help the seniors get some space.
I think we actually do have one question,
Oh.
more question for Anthony.
Okay,
Nancy had a question. See if we can promote her as a panelist. Thanks.
Okay,
Okay.
we can hear you.
all right. Anthony, my question is, when we did some studies regarding the DCU building, feasibility and design, was there any money left over from that study?
Well, that's the money,
Oh.
Nancy, that I was referencing earlier.
Okay,
Yeah, so I'm hoping that there will be, we know that there's a balance right now that's available. We just don't have all the final bills, so we don't have a final balance.
okay. Thanks, Anthony. Good to see you.
It's very good to see you. I hope all things are well, Nancy.
Okay, take care.
All right, you too.
Okay. Anyone else out there from the public, Ashley or Nicole?
On my end, I do not see anyone else raising their hand.
Okay. And again, thank you, Anthony. I'm
Yeah,
sure
thank you. Yeah, my
I'm-
pleasure. Anytime, Marge, feel free. Anybody can reach out to my office if they ever have any questions. Always here for the residents to answer any questions. And this is, like I said, as soon as we know more information, certainly we'll get back to the board and let you know how it's going. So
patience is a virtue, I think, in this
that's
case.
it. You know, we'd all love to see things happen a lot faster, but town meeting gives us the authorization to spend money, and that's ultimately what we have to wait for.
Okay. All right. Having said that, again, thank you ever so much. We really appreciate you taking the time. We know your schedule is pretty tight, so.
Oh, that's fine. No problem. I'm sorry I was running late. I did have somebody in my office that was running a little later than I expected.
That's fine. We're just glad you were here. So, thank you.
Glad to be here.
Okay, moving
The
on.
warrant article is, just so you know, if you want to go in the select board's packet, the warrant article that's referenced in, as far as the senior center is labeled, where is it? Senior center project. So it is listed in the select board's warrant under the annual town meeting. So if you want to go in there and look at that article, it is out there. So you can take a peek at it.
Thank you. That's good information for everybody, I think. And we can help get the word out to people about that even, so. David, is your hand up? Nope. I guess, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Didn't want to ignore you. Thank you again.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All righty, we're going to move on to the update on the Housing Subcommittee. And I know that, let's see, Ashley and I were there. And
David was there.
David was there. But we didn't have a quorum, and so we could not have a meeting this past week. And the committee is working, I'm going to give you a brief update, but everybody has been working, and Susan is involved, but was not present because she had some other obligations that took a priority that day. But they're working on trying to identify, what their next steps are as far as the housing proposal and the zoning changes out by the train station. Susan, if you want to add anything, feel free. But nothing happened concretely because we did not have a meeting. They did not have a meeting this week, so unfortunately. Do you have anything else, any one of you, to add to that?
Well, I was gonna make a report, but you just made it.
Oh, I'm sorry, David. Go ahead. Add to
No,
that, please.
You said everything that could be said. The only thing I would add is that we have a shortage of members. Okay, we were not, because Sue couldn't make it. Right now, all we have is 3, even though there are 4. The other member is not attending, and I would like to try and address that later on in this meeting.
Okay. Thank you, David.
Yep.
All right. And then I think, is there an update from the Transportation Advisory Council today, Susan?
No,
No.
the last meeting was on the same day as the Housing Subcommittee meeting, and I couldn't make any meetings that day. I did get sort of an update from the meeting, but there wasn't really anything to report.
Okay, thank you. We're trying to keep track of those committees that we do have representation on and, share the information for the whole board. So thank you very much for that.
Marge, excuse
Yeah.
me, before you move on, I just wanted to make mention that Maren Toolhill is on the call. She had sent an email to me earlier today with an overview of the proposed zoning bylaw amendments for the senior residential development and the inclusionary housing zoning law, noting that the warrant article may change between now and town meeting. It's currently article number 33 and adds a senior apartments use category to our current senior residential development bylaw. So I know she's on the call here if anyone has questions about that article.
Oh, great. David,
Yes.
still with us? We got Maren here at our disposal. So, and she did give an update to Ashley. So I don't know if you have any questions for her while we
Not
have
right
her
now.
with us.
Not
No.
right now. No.
And Lee, do you? Nope.
No.
Susan? Oh, go ahead, David.
No, I just would add, I was on the agenda tonight, the selectmen's meeting. There is a little bit that might be concerned with senior housing, and that is, it's a follow-up of conversation from last week with Nathan Long and A10 Associates, which was really interesting as far as all the things that are possible to be done. Okay, so I don't know if anybody wants that, but it's around 7 o'clock, okay, that it comes on with Nathan Long and A10 Associates. Did I get that right, Anthony? I guess so.
Yeah, so it's a follow-up discussion to that meeting, David. So the select board, they won't be there, Nathan Long or A10 Associates, but it's just a follow-up conversation for the select board to talk amongst themselves about some potential projects that they could be interested in some assistance from them.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any other
Mark?
question? Yes, go ahead, Susan.
Could we have an update from Maureen on the part of the warrant that is the changes to that senior housing bylaws?
please.
If she'd be willing to give it to you, I'm sure she will. If she can, and she has the time.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks for the question. I know a lot of the discussion has been around the 40R, the changes around the commuter rail station. So that's sucked a lot of the air out of the room as far as trying to discuss the other zoning bylaw amendments that we have. One of them deals with updating the senior residential development bylaw and the inclusionary housing bylaw. One of the big things that we're doing is hoping to add senior apartments as a use allowed under a senior residential development, a special permit. So Ashley, do you want to share that, or?
Do you have the slide?
I do somewhere.
Unfortunately, my Zoom account on my desktop
Yeah,
wasn't responding, so I'm on the work laptop. I might be able to, let's see.
yeah. So, Form D, yeah. Take me a few minutes to find it. There it is. Open that. Okay, sorry for my delay. Share. There we go. Hopefully you're seeing a PDF. Okay, so right now it's listed as Article 33. 5 different things that that bylaw would do. We're going to make some clarifications in the bylaw. Section 1 will do that. Section 2 will clarify the requirements for senior residential developments and affordable units in that, in all senior residential developments. Sections 3, 4, and 5 is what I was talking about before. We'll add new category senior apartments and gives details on the size, the parking requirements, things like that. And then section 6, currently there's a restriction on nursing homes. Nursing homes have to carry an extra 10,000 square feet of lot area for every bed. We think that's rather outdated and hoping to remove that from the bylaw. And then section 7, just clarify the definition for independent living units. And that definition is in the senior residential development bylaw. So some of this really gets into the weeds, but big picture is we're trying to make some clarifications and add senior apartments that could be developed under senior residential development special permit.
Now that sounds good.
That sounds exciting, Maren. I think it just had the prospect of, I think having some senior apartments is really great.
Mhm.
That's a huge need here in this town, I think.
Yeah.
We did talk about that briefly the other day. We didn't have a meeting, but the issue about we need apartments, came up, so.
Yep, and Ashley does have this slide, so it's easily available through Ashley, or I will be posting this update to the one of the planning board pages.
Okay,
well.
great.
Yep, thank you.
Ashley, can you send that out to the board members so that we can share it and digest it a little bit?
Absolutely. Happy
Thank
to.
you. That's really wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, Maren.
No, thanks for the
Wait.
time.
Oh,
Thank you,
we're
Maureen.
grateful, honestly. You've been very, very helpful to us and always are open and keeping us in mind, and we appreciate it greatly. Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Maren?
I have a question for Ashley.
Okay,
I'm wondering, Ashley, if it would, be a benefit for Sue and I to invite Maren to our next taping of our show to give us a more in-depth information, get it out there.
Great idea.
Great idea, Anita.
Is
Did you
that a
want to talk about the show a little bit?
Well, I'm just thinking if
To Maren,
if-
so she knows what to expect.
if there's a way that Sue and I in our highlights show can promote information before town meeting to get people there, that's the way I think we should go. But that's me speaking, and I'd like to hear what the rest of the board feels about that.
I think I already said that.
Yes, I think thumbs up. Anytime, and we can do that. And I don't know if Maren's ever seen the show, but Anita and Susan started this a year ago, February, and then of course took a few months off with COVID, but resumed as soon as they could. And they do a great job. It's a 15-minute or more segment at the end of the month usually, but I know they're talking about having a couple of special segments about both the housing, they wanted housing and the senior center issues to be focused on. So is that a possibility? The dates, I think, you have flexibility with setting up the time and everything, don't you, Anita?
Yes, we do. And Mark also works so that if where this would be maybe a question and answer thing, it would be good for Maren to be there. But if it's just to get information out, Mark could tape her separately. But maybe Maren, Sue, and I should have a discussion as to how Maren would like to see it done.
Great.
Are you up for that, Maren?
Yeah, absolutely. However I can help. And if we can rope one or two of the planning board members in as well, it might be best to also have a local face, another local face.
Sure.
The discussion, yeah.
Sure.
Great.
More the merrier.
That's right.
The more the merrier.
Makes our job a little easier.
Yes.
Okay, Maren, we'll be in touch. Sue or I will be in touch with you in the near future.
Wonderful. Exciting stuff going on. This is really great. It really is to see the help from the other boards in town and the support we're receiving. So it's very refreshing. To me anyway. I think it should be to everybody. So thank you again. Thank you, Maren. Do we have any other questions for Maren right now? No? Okay. Those are the two big issues. We've touched on them. They're so complex that it's hard to say we've covered them in depth because it's just really, both of them are very complex, but exciting. Exciting to see this activity going in on both of those projects, housing and the senior center. So. All right. Now, do we have any other questions about either one of those topics for anyone that's here? I don't want to take any time or anything away from somebody. But in the interest of moving on, I do know the Affordable Housing Trust is meeting tomorrow night. I do not know if there is an update of any. Maureen, she's got her thumb up there. You're muted.
There we go.
Yep.
I do just have a few things. At the last meeting, there was discussion about the LRAP, and the ERAP continues to move on. There are some members who have applied for an extension and are working on getting that. Because ERAP has been covered by the CARES Act, this has not cost the town any money for the amount of money that we have expended for the people on the emergency rental assistance program. It was brought up at our meeting that the town of Harvard is assisting homeowners who need some assistance with paying their mortgage payments. And there was some discussion about if Ashley could reach out to the town of Harvard and see if, how they do it and what it would entail. And Mark Montminy had invited everybody to the planning board meeting on the 18th to talk about the 40R project. And as Marge said, we are meeting tomorrow night.
Okay, any questions? Ashley and Maureen attend those meetings, so if the board members have any questions for either one of them, speak now. And also, I will remind people that Maureen sent the link out. I think it was right after, 2 days after our March meeting last month. So you should have received the link to attend that meeting if you wanted to tomorrow night, to zoom in on it and pay attention to it. So just as a matter of information for you all.
In March, may I say something to Maureen?
You
about
certainly
the rent?
may. Sure.
Marge is a member of the St. Vincent de Paul Council for Littleton. If you find someone who is in desperate need of rent and you cannot assist, would you please direct them to St. Vincent de Paul, because we do help with rent.
Good to know. Thanks,
Yeah.
Anita. I can
Great.
bring that up tomorrow at Affordable Housing.
Any other questions or thoughts for either Ashley or Maureen? And that's their meetings are quite fascinating to watch, to me anyway. It's a very interesting group. So. All right. Any other questions at all for anybody before we move on to new business? And we're just running a little behind. So, okay. If not, we will move on to the our new business. We have 2 applicants to fill the vacant board position due to the resignation of Patty Hunt back last fall. So we're anxious to meet with these people and to talk to them and to make a decision as to recommendations to the select board. That is our responsibility, is to do that for any applicant to the board we interview. You were sent out a list of questions of 8, I think it was, questions. Yes, 8 questions that we will, we can ask the candidates. You all received the candidate's application by email from the town clerk, so you are familiar with them. And today we have with us Marilyn Fidel and Gary Wilson to speak to us. So what I would like to do is to just start, if we were in person, we'd go around the room. So I just have a list of all the members that are present for voting purposes. So I'm going to go down the list and just say, Mark, I will end the discussion at the end after number 8, or I will do one at the last question. So I'm going to start with number 1 and just say, Mark, would you take on number 1 and throw the question out? And I would also invite, we'll do ladies before gentlemen. I guess that's the easiest way to do it, and ask if Marilyn is present and we can speak with her first.
I just checked the participant board. I don't see her name.
I think she's listed as volunteer.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Okay. I unmuted. Oh, there she is.
Okay, and
Okay.
is Gary on as well then? I don't see him
Gary?
on the.
Oh, he was on.
He's still over here. I'll move him over.
Do we want both of them at the same time? Do we care?
Well, and we have to, it's an open meeting and,
Okay,
we cannot separate out. If we were in person, they would be in the same room. We can't
Okay.
separate somebody out. So
Okay, so you want me to read the first question?
if you would do the first question and then I will go to David after that and then I'll go on for you.
Okay.
So Mark,
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you desire to be on the COA board.
Are you talking to me, Mark?
yeah,
Yes.
Okay. Number one, I have plenty of free time. I am retired. I am a senior citizen. I would like really to help the seniors. I don't think there's enough publicity around town for the seniors and all of the things that the seniors need. And I have written many a press release in my day and done all of that. So I would like to be on because I want to help get word out about the seniors, both the activities they do, the fact that housing is really rough. I mean, they've got new housing in town today, but how many seniors can afford $600,000 for a new house? We need transportation in town, people to be able. We need programs. We need the senior center desperately. And housing and the senior center are my two really hot topics that I would like to be on the board to push those, but I would also like to do more publicity about the seniors around town. Like I know Anita and they have this TV. When? It's not in the broadcaster, and if you don't go into, the LCTV, you don't know about that. So I think we need more publicity for the seniors in town.
okay.
Thank you. Gary?
Thank you. I wanted to thank the board for inviting me. Is everybody hear me okay, I hope?
Yes.
Great. As a long time resident of Littleton, I began getting involved in some of the different boards, starting when my children were younger, with youth baseball and things like that. And I've been a member of the finance committee now for 5 or 6 years. So I probably could have chimed in a little bit when you were asking questions earlier, but I felt it might have been a little inappropriate. But I also am a member of the personnel board for as long as we have it. And I am also on the disability commission. So I have a strong HR background. I've been an HR professional for 20 years. I am a retired veteran of the U.S. Army. Seems like ages ago. I currently, work with mediation. I think collaboration is probably one of my biggest strengths. Trying to get other boards engaged with what we're trying to accomplish. Regarding this particular position with the Council on Aging, I took care of my grandfather right up until he passed, about almost 10 years ago now. I did the same with my mother, and I do have a disabled son at home. So this is really near and dear to my heart, taking care of an aging population, and, a senior center, if that's what we're still calling it, more of an active living center is what I think we're really trying to build here. But I think it's a huge opportunity for the town. I think it's time. I think the boards are all on board. I really, everything that I hear from the Board of the Select Board, the time seems right. So I think that's going to be a huge step forward, and it's going to change Littleton moving forward, and how we engage with our senior population, and those with disabilities, right up for 20 years into the future, if not more. So I just think it's a huge opportunity. I'm 53 years old. I'm not ashamed to say it. So, and I love the community. We're not planning on going anywhere. I have 3 children. My baby's going to graduate college next year. So this kind of lines up for me to the next phase of my journey with the town. So I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, both Marilyn and Gary. David?
Okay, Marilyn, what is your understanding of the role and responsibilities of the COA board and the responsibility of EHS, the Elder and Human Services?
What is my understanding of the board?
That's correct.
I believe that one of the main functions of the board is to support the director and the associate director, as well as the outreach coordinator. That to me is their main thing, because those people can't do everything. And so the COA board has to help them in everything that's going on within the town, within the elders. And it's not just the people that are active that can get out and around, but we have a lot of seniors in town that are homebound that need the help as well. And so I think the board needs to be involved somewhat in that situation as well, because the Elder and Human Services can't do everything. And whether it's housing, transportation, visiting the sick, visiting the people that are having, that need assistance, I think the board is there to help the COA do those things.
Thank you, Marilyn. Gary, what is your understanding of the role and responsibility of the COA board and the role and responsibility of EHS, the Elder and Human Services?
Sure. I think, the COA in general, I guess in some regard, it's a little bit more limited than EHS, where EHS really envelops, the disabled population and gets involved with a lot more programming than specific, to the seniors. But obviously they work hand in hand. I think, the COA, this board's responsibility really comes down to listening to the residents in that population and being a voice for them when we're working with, the EHS director, but also the town administrator and to some degree the other boards, because we're so integrated in things that we want to accomplish when we're talking about taxes, when we're talking about transportation, food, Meals on Wheels, just a new building that we're talking about constructing. So I think really having a pulse on, we're trying to do all of these great things, but we have to listen to this population and be their voice, if you will, as well as come up with our own ideas, thinking outside the box a little bit. I know that the needs, of a 50-year-old are much different than the needs of a 90-year-old. So, finding out and addressing what those are and trying to meet to the best of our ability those concerns of that entire population, I think is paramount to the success of the program.
All right, thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
All right. Maureen, how about number 3?
Okay. Marilyn, what experience do you possess that qualifies you for a position on the COA board? And why did you apply for the position?
See, some of my qualifications,
Mhm.
time. I have plenty of time. I feel that I am a senior citizen, so I can understand what some of the senior citizens need and want. A keen interest in helping seniors and helping provide for the seniors. What else? I also have experience where I could do more of the PR work that I believe the COA and Elder and Human Services could use. Programs. Yeah. I'm very active person, so I have the time that I can, I have the desire to go and do things, I'm not one to just sit and talk. I'm more apt to be a person to go do. I think, and I love working with senior citizens. The one thing I really enjoyed with the seniors, one thing, and it wasn't here, it was the Indian Hill, getting all of the seniors that were there that would go to the box lunch. And I tried with previous people that worked here to get the COA, and you could get a table for the Littleton COA to attend these free concerts with other seniors. We had Harvard had a table, Air had a table, Acton, but Littleton never had one. And I tried to keep pushing to get, because the people really enjoyed those concerts. And I still feel we need to, when they reopen. This is just one little thing, but if every other town has it and it's free, a free 1 hour symphony concert, I don't understand why Littleton wasn't taking advantage when I kept trying to push it. But just things for seniors. They need socialization. Some of them, they've been home a long time. Some of them can never get back out. I used to go visit several of the seniors that were housebound, and some of them lived over across the street and some of them lived at Shattuck Street. And just to see them and be there to talk to them when they're lonely. They're all by themselves, some of them. They can't get out. But that's part of what I think I can bring. And I really am all for the senior center. I want that so badly for the town. And I'd like to see some affordable housing that's not $600,000 and $700,000 for senior housing.
Thank you. Gary, would you like me to repeat the question?
Sure. Could you please? Thank you.
Absolutely. What experience do you possess that qualifies you for a position on the COA board, and why did you apply for this position?
Sure. Thank you for the question. Well, why I applied, I kind of mentioned it a little bit. Being in public service, and currently I'm coming towards the end of a federal career for the U.S. State Department. I've always been committed to just being part of something greater. And I mentioned that this is kind of the next phase of a journey for me. I think, having parents that you witness the phases that they went through as they got older, and now as I enter into my senior years, I guess, if you want to call it that, I think it's a huge opportunity to take what I know, work with other members of this board that have enormous amount of different diverse backgrounds that you all bring, and try to see where I can fit in. I have a lot of knowledge of the town, the interworkings, being on other committees and boards. I think I take a lot of pride in having good working relationships, trying to build bridges. And I know that's a very important part when we're trying to get things done. We have the Friends of the COA, just keeping that relationship robust and developing it as much as we can further, working with the HS director, trying to link up some of the disabled, individuals like Meals on Wheels. I know my son was a part of that program before COVID-19, and the schools still use that program to assist delivering food to seniors. And I'd love to see that expansion maybe as we move forward, and how we can link up the adult disabled population with seniors, and how they can feed off each other and potentially help an aging population. So I'm, like I said, I'm a lifelong resident of Littleton, barring my, my stint in the military, but I think it's near and dear to my heart. A lot of families I know in Littleton, and a lot of parents that knew me growing up. I'm a graduate of Littleton High, so it's kind of life's played a full circle. So I think I can really help try to get things done, be a voice for residents that often aren't heard, and just continue to really press forward with some of these things that our growing senior population needs. And I think Marilyn hit on a lot of those, with housing definitely being one, and transportation for sure. But more so than that, just involvement in the community, whether it's dance, games, drop-in centers, and overall respect. I think that's really what the population needs. And I can definitely be a driver with that. So thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay. Ann Lee, how about number 4? You're muted.
Hi, Marilyn and Gary. I'm glad you're here with us and wanting to be part of the board. Please detail other volunteer positions that you've had and what you actually did on these volunteer positions. Marilyn?
Now, Annalee, are you referring just to Littleton or to other volunteer positions
No, whatever.
as well?
Whatever.
Okay. Well, I was a Girl Scout leader for years. I never missed a football game. I never missed a soccer game. Never missed a band concert. Was when my children were young, I belonged to the boosters clubs. I did things like that. Very involved in church activities of all sorts. We've done fundraisers where I've been the chairman of the fundraiser. In fact, we're in the process of doing a virtual fundraiser right now. I volunteer at Indian Hill with the seniors at Indian Hill and that's why I'm volunteering in the COA office right now every week. I've volunteered at the thrift shop, the COA thrift shop, and tried to help outfit some of the people that really don't have a lot and try to give them the best things for their few dollars that they would have. What else? You would ask me what I volunteered because I've done so much, but I can't remember it all. I also take minutes for several of the Littleton committees. So as Gary and I both could have answered the question earlier on with the money for the town meeting, but we let that. I can't think of any, but
that's good.
I know we used to go, and we just volunteered, but it wasn't part of any group, with visiting several seniors that were homebound, and would take them books and magazines and things like that to read and find out what they would like and get it and take it to them. They couldn't get out, so they looked forward to us coming and bringing maybe a magazine, or if it was a male or a female, the different kinds of books. So these are some of the things that I've volunteered doing.
Great, thank you. Gary, please tell us about some of the volunteer positions that you've done and what you did in those positions.
Sure. Well, as far as recent history, I guess we can look at the Finance Committee. I've been chair of Finance Committee, vice chair of the Finance Committee, currently a member. I've, in those positions, obviously, especially on that board, I shouldn't say especially, because a few of the other boards had to navigate some really interesting times with the pandemic and how we operate, as you all have, but also when we're dealing with town finances and what this impact has been, it's really created a different, you've had to put a lot more work in than probably normal just to figure out how we're going to move forward as a town and we be fiscally responsible and successful. So, that's the finance side. Personnel board. I know, I served on the board with Anita, and I still am currently, and it's a lot of things that board has taken on over the last few years that I've been involved as the finance committee representative to the personnel board. So really just kind of understanding, volunteering my time to see compensation and classification. So a lot of the things in the town, dealing with employee issues and things like that. And I'm currently the vice chair of that board as well. And finally, I'm newly appointed really to the Disability Commission, and it kind of came on right when COVID hit. So I'm kind of chomping at the bit to be a little bit more involved with that board and how we can, work with the community as well. So those are really my three in-town type of things. I've volunteered, when we've had some ice storms in the past. We can go several years back. Hurricane preparedness and things when this area was hit by different storms. I volunteered a lot of time assisting with cleanup and things of that nature, now all the way through the South Shore, Boston, and everything else, when we're talking about some of the storm issues and problems that employees of the state were dealing with and that needed assistance. So besides volunteering, as you, like most people, when their children are younger, you get involved in theater and sports and coaching and all of those things, those type of opportunities. Once again, really community type based things and being a little bit bigger besides just being a coach, but getting involved in Littleton youth baseball and softball, on the committee, and trying to have that program be successful and grow as, young minds grow through the program. So it's really, like Marilyn mentioned, there's probably a lot of volunteer opportunities that I've taken advantage, with food kitchens and things like that as well in my past. But really the most recent ones is really my work in town on different boards. So thank you.
Great. Thank you both.
Hey, Anita, how about number 5?
Okay, number 5. The COA board engages in various discussions on many topics, sometimes with disagreements. How would you handle the situation should it become contentious? Marilyn.
Are you referring to okay, one person says yes, one person says no on the board, or you've got an article? Is this what you're referring to, Anita?
Yes, it is.
And how would I
handle that situation?
Okay. The one thing I believe that I would do personally, I would sit and listen very carefully to person A and to person B and try to listen carefully to even what's the word behind the words, for example, and then come up and try to explain how I would see it so that I didn't get A angry and B angry, and so that they could go together and mesh together and say, oh, I like that part. And the other one said, yeah, you're right. Just by listening and coming up with the best, that's what I would do.
Okay, thank you. And Gary, the COA board engages in various discussions on many topics, sometimes with disagreements. How would you handle the situation should it become contentious?
Sure. Thank you for the question. I think if I'm going to use one word right out of the gate, it's respect. So, you have to initiate that first part of any discussion needs to start with respect for other board members and their thoughts. Everyone has their own experiences that they're bringing to the table, their own passions, their own history. So I think it's very important when you start there, the rest of the pieces kind of can be worked out. So, you know, I'm a trained mediator, so this is something that I deal with at work quite a bit, is mediation. So really, I think other board members that I've been on committees with would say that I'm very, I guess, level-headed. I don't believe there's ever a time for insults or personal attacks when we're dealing with town business or any other time really in the community that we love. So I think I'll just stick to, it starts with respect, listening, giving your opinion, and realizing where people are coming from so that you can hopefully build a consensus to figure out what's best for the town and the population that we serve.
Thank you both.
Number 6. You're muted.
I'm on mute.
There you are. You're good now.
Sorry about that. Number 6 says, and you've both sort of hit on the basis of this question, but statistics indicate that Littleton's aging population will increase incrementally over the next 5 to 10 years. What do you believe are the greatest needs about what should be addressed now to meet those growing needs? Marilyn?
Okay, I believe that housing, food, because there are people that, you know, food is very hard to come by. We have a lot of food pantries everywhere. And socialization, because some people, you know, in the future, they do need to socialization, just not necessarily, but people to talk to, people to see. Like with a Zoom meeting, you have your socialization. It might not be physical, but it's over. But I think housing and food and medical attention and how to get the best medical attention. I think for that age group, these are the 3 very important things.
Thank you. Gary, what do you see as the greatest needs for the increasing senior population in Littleton?
I think socialization is definitely critical. I think what we've seen during the pandemic, everyone from young children all the way to our senior population has been affected to some form of isolation over the last 18 months. So I think that this is especially true of all vulnerable populations, those special needs adult populations and the senior population, that when a lot of the programs stop and we're dealing with communicating across cameras, I think it really can isolate people to a point and be very detrimental to their health. That's just one piece. I think we have to sit back. We have to look at, obviously, food outreach. And I know Littleton has been fantastic with outreach, really making sure that we have the pulse of our most vulnerable of population. Taxes, I know Littleton we do have tax programs available to seniors. I think continuing to grow that and be a voice for the seniors, try to expand on it, just creating more opportunities. Taxes are going to continue to go up. Housing is going to continue to go up, and I think definitely over the last several town meetings, we've begun to address this, by amending some bylaws, changing some bylaws, and I know we have a very, with Article 33 really tries to address some of the issues that we didn't quite accomplish over the last few town meetings to affect some of our zoning that can really hit home with hopefully some senior housing opportunities. Boy, it's such a gambit. I know I touched on a few. I think transportation, these simple needs to get people out into the community, things that aren't expensive, things that we can really just get people together. And so that's really it. The Meals on Wheels program, I think, needs to continue and to grow. I would like it certainly to be the senior center, to have a fantastic kitchen where more people can come in the community, not just seniors, but I think across the board, some of the younger population. I think that's good. Our children learn an immense amount from our aging population. So it would be just great to have an activity center where that could take place. So that's really, I know that's a lot, but there is a lot. So, and I think there's a lot of value from a lot of board members here that I've seen in the past contribute with some of the concerns and moving some of these things forward that we're seeing with transportation and Meals on Wheels and tax incentive write-offs. And I just think these are all programs we can grow on as well.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark, I'm going to ask you to take number 8, and then I'll pick up from there.
Number 7.
I mean,
Number
number 7.
seven.
I'm sorry, number 7. Thank you. You caught me. Thank you.
Number 7, do you believe the COA board members should attend other town board committee meetings such as the select board, finance, planning, etc.?
Yes, I do. I believe that the COA board should have someone, at least one, every member should be a part of another or should attend at least one other. For example, someone should always attend a Board of Selectmen meeting, a finance committee meeting, a school committee meeting, a planning board meeting, maybe right now with the senior center, a PMBC meet. But I definitely believe that the COA board members need to be seen by and accepted and respected because they are respectful and are interested in all of the other town boards in town. And then when they come back and have their meetings, you'll know what is going on around the town, because all of the board members will have been to at least one other important board meeting during the month. Now, I really believe every COA board member should be assigned to another board.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Mark.
Sure. I think being on other boards that I've been a part of, it's necessary part of the job really to, if you can't attend a meeting, definitely we have the luxury of great, robust technology in town. We can watch them after the fact. We can stream these things. It's important to know the other issues that are going on in town. If we're going to address, the issues of this board and what that presents, we need to know what the competing priorities are, and sometimes expressing those opinions, with the different boards on why things should be prioritized differently and the importance of certain programs that some might not be familiar with. So I think it's necessary especially when there's topics that are coming up, in regards to town meeting. When we're dealing with warrants that are on the town meeting that are discussing different things with our seniors, any obviously building type construction, we need to have a massive voice in this. Otherwise, things just happen, and we don't necessarily get heard as much as we could if we attended meetings and then could come back as a group and give our opinion on what we heard. so that we can address things before they become ingrained in stone, if you will. So I think it's necessary. I think it's important, and it's nothing but value added by attending these other board meetings to get a good understanding of what's going on around Littleton and what citizens are dealing with.
Okay, thank you. Arch, can I ask another question that's not on the list?
Sure.
What do you think makes a good relationship between the director, the COA board, and groups like the Friends of the COA? How do you see that relationship, and how do you, what do you think makes it work well and how it goes forward?
I think that each group needs to respect the other group. That's the first thing that's very important. And you've got the director and up here, and then you have the COA board, and then you have the Friends. The Friends do a lot of sort of outreach and fundraising to help promote some programs and things that the COA board and that there just isn't money for within the budget. That's just one of the things that I see. I also see, I see the three working in tandem with one another. I see them all needing one another. The Friends need the board and the board needs them, and the same with the director. And I just think they should work very well together and know that they each have their own roles to a point and respect one another. That to me is one of the key things with the different boards meeting together and working together, is respect for one another and respect for what the different boards are trying to accomplish.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, I think it's really when we're just looking at the three positions, if you will, that you defined, all have to be working somewhat in sync to be successful. What is the director's mission? Well, the director's dealing with a lot more and can't put all their time into certain things that seniors need. So I think as a board this large, we can really get involved in the community and be advocates for seniors, when we're talking to the director, things that maybe could not just be cultivated by being in the position to make that, to make the director successful, that, giving this input. We're out in the community, we're part of the community, and giving a clear understanding of some of the needs, some of the vulnerable, individuals in town that need assistance and the like. The Friends, I think the library is a good template for how a very successful Friends program worked, and is continuing to work, for the fundraising opportunity that they've completely taken advantage of and helped the town immensely with promoting the library project. And I think it's important that at the very least that the chair and the vice chair are singing the same song and direction that we want seniors to, the program to go and how they go forward. What do we need from the Friends? And those are probably some difficult conversations. And I know I've sat in on some meetings in the past where those directions sometimes can separate, and I would be a little contentious, if you will, because where funds need to be spent when we really need resources everywhere. So those discussions really need to be fruitful, respectful, to move forward. So like I said, for the program to be successful, and for our director to be successful, for sure, we need to be feeding information, not overwhelming, but definitely feeding information in things that might not just be apparent.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being so patient, even for us to get to this point of the day. You've been sitting, I'm sure, for a long time by now. Do you have any questions for the board at this point? Marilyn, let's start.
Can't think of any offhand.
Okay. Gary?
I just, not really questions. I just wanted to thank the board for continued work. I think it's an exciting time for Littleton. So there's a lot of challenges for sure. And I wanted to thank Marilyn. I've known Marilyn now for at least 5 or 6 years. So I know that how passionate she is about the seniors in the program. So I really don't have any questions. I think you have a great charter, your website, everything is pretty well defined. And I know you're all of caring parts of our community that are trying to make everything better for the conditions for our seniors going into the future. So thank you.
Well,
And I
thank
would like
you.
to
Thank you.
too. Marge, I would like to thank everyone for their time.
Oh, you're entirely welcome. We're just grateful that you both have given us your time. I just need to make sure that I'm pretty certain you probably know the following things I'm going to mention, but I want to mention them so that it's clear. You probably both realize that this board does not make appointments. We make recommendations to the select board, who then make the appointments to the COA board or to any board in town. And that the position brings with it really an obligation to, adhere to various laws, as well as taking training as instructed by the town clerk. When you are a board member, you're considered a employee of the town. And so you have these obligations. In addition, though, the COA board has as one of their rules is that you have to attend some training. Now, that can be just a half a morning of a lecture or something to do with senior needs or whatever. It's just one simple little educational event just to regarding seniors or elders. And reliably attending the board meetings and be aware of the fact that they're televised, because sometimes people aren't happy with that and they're uncomfortable about it. We do have subcommittees that are activated at different times. Right now, this past few months back, we reactivated the housing subcommittee. And we established a visioning subcommittee, which is the senior center subcommittee. Really, it's their focus is working on helping to get the word out about needs and et cetera for the senior center. So, and we have obligations to provide board membership on the Affordable Housing Trust and the Transportation Advisory Council, et cetera. And those are appointments. But so there's a lot going on, and there is work. It's work. It's not just something that you join and take it lightly. So I just chose, I think it's important that potential board members always are informed of the whole scope of the responsibility of being a board member. So, and we definitely work as a team with the director. The COA board acts in an advisory capacity. And that's an important thing that became effective, I would say about 7 or 8 years ago. Prior to that, the COA board was acting as a management group, and that is not the focus of the COA board. We work in an advisory capacity with the director, and we need to help the director in educating the community on issues, and you both have indicated you have an awareness of that. And we like to think that we work together as an effective team. And with that, I'll say no more. So, but it's been a joy to listen to you both. And with that, also, I'm going to ask for the board members to take a vote on how they wish to have the selectmen notified. so that we can try to fill the vacancy that we've had for a while. And we're anxious to fill, by the way. So,
Can I ask a point of order type question?
yes,
So we have a vacancy now,
yes.
and then we're going to have members be reappointed in the next few months as well. So if we picked one of the two candidates now, what is their status for going forward? Do they have to reapply if they wanted one of the positions for next year versus this?
I do believe that, I do believe you have to reapply. I don't think we can keep an application active once it's been acted on. Susan's nodding her head. Nope, okay. Sorry.
I was nodding my head, and I think you're correct.
Yeah, okay. So, but the situation is that just so that Marilyn and Gary realize this too, because I think sometimes people don't. They might, because they've been involved in town things. But we have we operate on a rotating system, and every year there are 3 members whose terms, that they're 3-year terms for a full term. And in this case, we're filling a term not completed, so that this appointment would be to complete the rest of the term of Mary Patty Hunt. And then once that term, I do not remember right exactly whether it was a year more or a year and a half or whatever. And then if they wanted to stay on, would reapply to the select board to be reappointed. And we have 3 board members whose terms expire this year. And same thing goes, that these individuals can choose to reapply to the select board for a reappointment or not. And I do not know the status of that. I can speak for myself, and I'm one of the ones my term expires, so I can be honest there and tell you I will be planning to reapply. I cannot speak for the other 2 whose terms are expiring, but they will make their wishes known when the time comes in May or June. So, does that answer your question, Mark?
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions about that? It is confusing.
And
Go
how
ahead.
are we going to proceed with the determination of who we're going to send to the select board?
Well, I
What
think
is the
we need to take a vote as to whether you recommend or you do not recommend. And go from there. And we've done this as an open meeting. It is not something that we can go into executive session for, if you read the rules and regulations about that. So, and I know it's uncomfortable for some people, but I think we can all respect each other. And everybody certainly has, done a great job. So I'm going to take a roll call vote by my list of people who are here today, so that I'm accurate in this. And I would
So-
just ask, I think,
Can I ask one more question? And this probably goes to Anthony. So I would
Yes.
assume that our position tonight would then be voted on by the selectmen at like their April 26th meeting. And then the position would start for our next May meeting. Is that the idea?
So, yes, we can take it up on the 26th. I don't know off the top of my head what the term is for the position that this is being vacated, the vacated position is for, so I'd have to look all that up. So it would take effective once the select board approved it and they got sworn in at a town meeting, at town clerk, then it would take effective until the term expires.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I do believe, I think I'm correct, I just looked in my list. I do believe the Mary Patty Hunt's term expired in 2022. So the appointment, if I'm correct, I'd have to verify that with the town clerk, obviously, but I do believe that's the case. Usually we're good on that. But so it would be for, you know, a fairly good lengthy appointment at this point. This is 21. Be, well, a year anyway. So.
Okay.
But that's the situation. And then there could be a vacancy, coming up again this June. And so then somebody could reapply too.
And even without a vacancy, they can apply.
Absolutely.
I would
Anybody.
encourage that.
I would too. It's been a wonderful situation right now with, you know, it's good to have new blood on a board. I think, and to have new ideas and new thoughts, you know, and it makes for a healthy group, a working group, so. Okay, having said all that, are we ready to take a vote? Anybody not ready? Okay. All right, well, let's take a vote on Marilyn. Poor Marilyn,
So-
she's a female, ladies first.
So exactly, how are we doing this vote? Can you, so the way I've seen it done in the past, and is that we nominate one, second one, and then vote it to see if they get the majority or not, or
Right.
I don't know how, is that what you're planning? So someone's going to say, you know, recommend, let's just pick Anthony. So we're going to say, we're going to recommend Anthony for the open position, and then someone seconds it, and then we go on and vote on
That's it.
that, and then if he gets the majority, then that's it, or that we go back and would pick the other candidate potentially and do the same thing. Is that the plan, or I'm just, it's a rules of
I
order type thing.
Right, we can do that, but I think we, in fairness, it would be important to take a vote or nominate and see how the vote is. You could have a tie, I suppose, I don't know. But either way, it would be good to have somebody say, we'll take a vote on Maryland first and then see how the vote comes out. Is that what you're asking me?
No, I think we need to nominate one.
No,
I
I
think
think,
you need to nominate, someone needs to nominate
Oh, okay.
Marilyn or Gary,
All right.
second it, and then vote, rather than, because you can't, honestly, I would love to have them both on the board, right? But we only have one slot.
I
So
know.
what we're asking for is someone to step up for the 2 months until the next round comes, and then I'm hoping the other one will apply if we have a vacancy, or even if we don't, to help out. So,
Right, okay, that's fine. You're right, that's good. So we can,
I would like to recommend and nominate Gary Wilson for the open position.
okay. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Thank you, Susan. We have a motion from Anita and seconded by Susan to nominate Gary to fill the current vacant position. All right. Okay, roll call. Mark,
aye.
David? David, did
He's
we
muted,
lose?
but he said yes. He's muted.
Oh, there he is. I have to hear him. Yes, okay, I saw the,
Aye.
thank you. Maureen,
Yes.
Ann Lee,
Yes.
Anita,
Yes,
Susan?
Yes.
9181939.
What's that? Do we know what that noise was? All right. Marge is a yes. So that is a unanimous vote. At this point.
Can I say, please, Marilyn, please apply for the next round? It wasn't, yes. Please reapply.
Please do. It's not, this is it's always awkward and difficult to do. But we know probably there will be, there will be another vacancy at some point. We don't know exactly when. So, and please do not forget us, because I agree with Mark. You're both very qualified and, yes. So,
Thank you,
Okay.
Marilyn. Please, it's only 2 months away.
and you don't know, actually, we do have to forward this to the, select board, I will have to write a memo and send this forward to the select board. So with our recommendation, at this point in time, and the select board makes the final appointment. So,
True.
okay. Okay. Lost my agenda. We need to move on. We were really running late today, and I apologize for that. We have a director's report and an outreach workers report.
Yes, we do, Marge.
No, that's okay. Whenever.
Sorry for the delay.
Well, I'm sorry. We're so really late today.
Okay. I wanted to touch base on the vaccination rollout. I think that was part of my director's report this
Yep.
month. So I had attended the Board of Health meeting last Wednesday, and Mark, correct me if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but Katrina, she's an epidemiologist. I believe she presents weekly at the Board of Health meetings on the virus in general, and she shares some really good information. And last week she talked to vaccination numbers in town, and from the data that was presented, it seemed as though 400 seniors 65 years and older have not yet secured their first dose appointment for the vaccine, which was surprising for me to hear, because at the beginning when the vaccine rollout happened, we had large number of phone calls, and over time that kind of has petered out a little bit, and it could be for a number of factors, but it was an interesting dialogue and important for us to know that we need to continue to educate and inform the community and offer support if people are still having difficulty in securing an appointment. Our outreach department has been successful in helping people navigate the online system and receiving appointments. So if you hear of people that you're talking to, please let us know, and we can offer that assistance. We did go through that list that we had established back in February, the COVID-19 wait list for the clinic at Devon's, which is no longer happening. And we had reached out to those individuals on the waiting list. And for the majority of people who contacted us back said that they did have success. And many have leaned on their family and friends in terms of booking and scheduling their appointments. So I also think too, the homebound individuals in Littleton, Neshoba Board of Health had leaned on our department and helped to identify those individuals for setting up a COVID shot in their homes, and the outreach team had worked on that. So we are continuing to offer support, and I think it's important to mention that again. For departmental trainings, Liz and Nicole had applied for a China 15 grant for QPR training for Nicole, Amy, Liz, but now me, which is question, persuade, refer. And that training helps identify someone who may be suicidal, warning signs for suicide, and then how to get help. So the thought is the three of us will go through this training, and then we will offer the training to the community. So then everyone else is aware and know what to do in that effort. So it's really a train the trainer type of program. and that will be forthcoming. Sue and I also attended a Dementia Friends Champion training. That's a global movement helping to change the way people think about dementia and, again, train the trainer. Anyone can be a dementia friend. It helps identify people in the community who may have dementia and become more empathetic and supportive to those individuals. If anyone on the board feels strongly about this, let me know, because more trainings will be happening through Massachusetts Council on Aging, and love to have more champions in Littleton, so then we can go out and spread the message. Indoor programming continues to be on hold. The department is available by appointments right now. We are continuing to offer virtual programs. The grab and go offerings have been successful, and we are planning a few outdoor programs in May. I also wanted to mention additional programs through the China 15 Collaboratives Grant, which is with Littleton, Acton, and Foxborough. We have a meditation mindfulness class, and the registration information is within the April broadcaster to register. We're also sponsoring an Earth Day surprise grab and go program that's scheduled on April 22nd, 11 to 12. Anita gave a nice welcome, encouraging people to sign up for the art grab and go, which is this Wednesday. We're also continuing with the mystery bag program organized by Anne-Marie Tronosky, the social club leader. We had one today. The next one is scheduled for April 26th, and that's funded through Emerson Community Benefit Grant Award that we have received. Again, continuing with the virtual programming, Nicole has worked very closely with cable on a few PSAs. I don't know, Nicole, if you want to talk about those at all.
We did a few PSAs this month. We did one for the van service, just to let people know that we're still here and that we're still providing services. So right now the van is still running Wednesdays and Fridays, but I'm asking people who are looking for rides on other days to please call me. As the needs increase for more days, then we'll be able to add additional days back in. But I need to hear from people, and we haven't heard from anyone yet. But if people are looking for rides on those other days, just let me know. I also did a PSA with Chief Pennard about Drug Take Back Day, which is at the end of this month, April 24th, I believe. And you can take all of your expired, unused medications to the police department to dispose of them. There are a lot of reports saying that having these medications in your home, people who are coming into your home, it's a big way for people to get their hands on medication and drugs that could hurt them. And there was also another PSA for the Interface website. So this is like a mental health portal where you can go in, you can type in what you're looking for, where you're looking, what kind of insurance you have, and you can be set up, given a list of providers in the area. So all of those PSAs are on cable now, and you can look for them on demand on the website as well.
And I believe they're available on the department's Facebook page too, right, Nicole?
Yes, yep, they are on the Facebook page.
So if you feel compelled to share them with your network on Facebook, please do. Best form of publicity is word of mouth. So we appreciate everyone on the board doing what they can to continue to promote us. And then lastly, I wanted to mention, we were in receipt of some donations, and I'll request to be on the select board's agenda on April 26th for a gift acceptance. We received $2,500 from the John and Eunice Morrison Charitable Foundation. Ed of Ed Sweeney's continues to donate his monthly tips to our department for families in need. And last month's donation was $810. And then the Friends of the Council on Aging, they support the monthly broadcaster newsletter, and they are replenishing the mailing account, which is a donation of $720. So we thank them for that contribution.
So Ashley, my question is, the indoor programming in May, does that mean that the May craft will not be outside?
So right now, we're not planning any indoor offerings. The focus in May is on outdoor offerings, Anita, and we had spoken about the art craft activity being held at outside the patio, the courtyard area.
That's still available?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
I had a question. Have we talked to the other surrounding towns about doing cross promotions of activities while everything is virtual? There's a lot more programs available to people than just what's in Littleton. So I didn't know if we're trying to promote and cross promote on these things more.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Mark. We have a regional council on aging directors meeting once a week, and we do share actually this Chair Rocks program that we had scheduled way back in the fall. Some of the council on agings actually picked up on that advertisement and had included it within their newsletter. And we actually heard from a community that's pretty not close, but they had reached out. They have a program on Women's Health Week during Women's Health Week and in May, and we are planning to advertise. So it works both ways, but we really benefit from those weekly meetings just to see and hear what people are up to and how we can advertise. For example, the 4-H Recycling Club, which has been in broadcaster newsletters, they're hosting a virtual presentation, and we had extended the invite to Acton Council on Aging, as some of their members are from Acton as well. So as much as we can, we do. I know Nicole also shares on Facebook some of the other surrounding communities and what they're up to too.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else?
Thank you. That's a very comprehensive report, Ashley, I think. Yeah. I'm thinking about writing a newspaper article, listening to all these things, and I was making notes of the things that I'll have to get hold of Nicole. And some of the things that if I send an article into a paper too, we could include some of those announcements that you've got up on the, I've seen some of them on Facebook, for example. Excuse me. Okay. Any other questions for Ashley before we move on? Poor Amy sitting there. So we need to give her a fair shot now. All right. Amy, you're on finally.
Hello. So it's been, it was a good month. We continue to offer the pantry deliveries on Fridays when our transportation is running. As Nicole said, it's still operating on Wednesdays and Fridays. And on the Fridays that the pantry is open, we pick up the groceries for folks that can't get to the pantry and we deliver it to them. So in March, the vans provided deliveries to 16 households. We have been continuing with the bag lunch program with the Rotary Club delivering. That will be coming to an end this June when that grant runs out, is my understanding. In March, though, the Rotary Club volunteers assisted with delivering those meals to 6 residents every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm not sure if many of you remember this, but we did launch a senior pen pal program last year to pilot it, and we had worked with a second grade class from Russell Street School, and we had to put that on hold with the pandemic. But we received a call from a high school student, Ella, and she and a group of friends that she's gathered wanted to do a pen pal program. So we're now doing a senior pen pal program with high school students. So if anybody is interested, they can let us know, and we can have Ella work on pairing them with a high school student. In March, we had our LGBTQ Coming Out Across the Generations program. We had an amazing response. We had roughly 50 plus people register for the event, and 38 attended. We had 4 speakers that told their story. They did a phenomenal job. These are some traumatic stories and some traumatic moments in their past that they're reliving and telling everybody about, and the joy of how they were able to actually embrace their individual selves was wonderful. So it was a great program. We had enough response where we're going to be doing a second series, and I'm going to be meeting with the collaborative group at the end of the month to make the plans for the next one. So there's more to come, so stay tuned. With our child care subsidy program, there's spots still available for families. So it's actually been recently opened up to that summer town run programs can qualify. So if anybody is interested in getting help with childcare costs, or for over the summer when these summer town run programs are being offered, they could qualify as well. So people should reach out to apply. And the same goes with the Littleton Rental Assistance Program and Emergency Rental Assistance Program. Applications are still being accepted. They're available on our website. If there's questions regarding the eligibility or the process, they're encouraged to contact me to get more information. I'd be happy to discuss it with them further. Based on my last count, I believe we have 6 active emergency rental participants. 2 expressed interest in extending, but they haven't provided the paperwork just yet. For the Littleton Rental Assistance Program, we have 9 active participants, 1 awaiting paperwork for recertification, and 1 new one being presented at the next Affordable Housing Trust meeting. So that's what I have from outreach.
Great. Any questions for Amy? All right.
I move that we accept the director and outreach coordinators reports.
Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you, David. Okay, Mark, we're doing roll call. Mark?
Aye, yes.
David?
Aye.
Thank you. Maureen?
Aye.
Ann Lee?
Yes.
Anita?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
And Marge is a yes. I think we have a unanimous vote. All right, folks. If there is no other additional business,
I have one.
you do? Okay.
I do.
And so do I.
I talked to Ashley about a week or so ago with Ashley and Alicia and Sam about potential of getting a tent for outdoor programming, and I just didn't know if anything's happened or if there's anything we can do to move that along, or what's the status.
Ashley's chuckling there. Okay.
Yeah.
You always ask the great questions.
Yes.
I was in touch with Sam late last week on this subject, and Nicole and I actually had a meeting with Alicia today to talk about collaborations in general, separate from the tent idea, but the tent did come up. So it's still a very much active conversation. I can't tell you what the timeline is or what the next steps are because there are still conversations being had around it. But happy to follow up with you once I know more about it. I know some
Okay.
concerns, were raised about where to put it and where to store it. So questions like that, and then liability, who's going to put it up? Is it going to be an outside company? Questions like that.
So are you talking, oh, go ahead, Mark.
So I would suggest talking also to Steve Marks because the schools all have them up now. So I don't know if they own them or they rented them or who put them up, but they must have solved all of those questions already. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question too. Are we talking about renting or purchasing? And would there be CARES Act funds available for something like that?
I asked that question to Anthony before, and what he told me was they don't know what they're getting from the second round of CARES funding, and that they spent all the money that they got from whatever the pre-CARES one. I don't remember the one that from last year. They have no funds left.
Oh.
But I think the funding of it is a separate issue from the actual where we're going to do it and how we're going to get it up, because I think if we determine that we want a tent, there'll be we can find the funds, right? There's enough organizations in town that would support this to have outdoor programming that I think we can locate the funds, right? So.
Good, one would hope. Anyway, that's for sure.
I will commit to helping locate the funds if Ashley finds the spot.
Whoa, whoa,
Gets the
what a
approval.
deal. Oh, that's a deal, Ashley.
Wow, nothing like putting me on the spot here with this tent idea.
Okay. Well, you can ask Nicole to help too, because she looks like she needs something to do.
Yeah, I think the thought behind it was that it would be a collaborative effort amongst different departments. And so we'll see where that goes, Mark. I know you really like this idea, and I think it's a great idea, but there are a few details to work out.
Yep.
Sounds like a great idea, but I can see where there would be details to work out too, but it does sound great. Then you don't have to have a rain or shine type of thing, so be good.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going to put Ashley on the spot again, I think.
No, it's okay. I encourage the questions. If anyone has any other ideas or.
Well, somebody might hear, who knows? Somebody could be here or hear it and then tell somebody that manages tents or sells them or something, and we could have a donation come our way without even realizing it. So it's good to bring it up. Thank you, Mark. I think it's a great idea. So, okay, is there any other business to come before the board? Yes, David.
Yeah, I had mentioned earlier about a shortage of members and the fact that we couldn't have a meeting the other day, okay, for the housing subcommittee. So I will defer to the chairman and to the director, okay, to bat that one around and let me know what we're going to do.
Okay.
So it's on you guys. I'm just saying we can't do much. You were there, Marge. You were there, Ashley, and we couldn't do anything other than have a nice conversation with Matt and Maren. Okay, but we couldn't do anything. So
Not hold a meeting. You're right.
It was rather frustrating, and so I'll leave it to you.
Okay.
And I mean, Sue's right here, so I'm hoping she'll be here for the next one.
Nope. But
I hope so too.
Okay.
it can't be helped. If a person personal priorities have to take comfort as far as our health and our well-being goes. So.
Well, of course, absolutely. That's without question.
That's right. So, but thanks for bringing it up. Yes. Okay. Any additional business, or are we ready to adjourn the meeting?
I move we adjourn.
Oh, yay. Do I have a second for that motion?
Second,
All right, last vote. Mark?
Oh, I don't know, I'm ready to be done with this, so, but, oh, yeah. Yes,
Okay. David?
aye.
Thank you. Maureen?
Yes.
All right. Anita?
Yes.
Oh, Ann Lee, I skipped over you.
Yes.
Thank you. Susan?
Yes.
And Marge is a yes. Did I miss anybody? No, I don't think so. With that, I think we are adjourned for today. And thank you all, everyone. I see Gary is still with us. Thank you, Gary. And
Thank you, guys.
Nicole and Amy, we have a great team. We do. Ashley, I hope that you can see and are excited about joining us. We do have a sense of humor too.